My brothers in Christ, you already know what today is. It's Tier List Tuesday. What? A sprinkle of the ban list on time. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. The Yu-Gi-Oh! June 5th, 2023 Forbidden List has changed everything. My guy, my friend, my brother in Christ. It's a whole new Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game. In this particular tier list, I'm going to be giving you my initial thoughts on what I think are going to be the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as an explanation why. I mean, who else better to give you this information than TheCaliEffect? You know, the dude that just keep catching dubs. I catch more dubs than you catch L's talking to girls. That's a lot of W's. So in this particular tier list, I have 5 different categories here. Top meta? Well, what do you think? These are the cream de la crop, the decks that are to beat right now. Next best are the strategies that are vying for the top. These are extremely powerful decks that can do some damage. Potential upside, my guy, is exactly what it is. These strategies can go all the way up under the correct circumstances. Experimental, my friend, may just be a little bit too new. It might be waiting for the format to develop, or we might have to go back to the drawing board to figure something else out. Overall, though, I think that these strategies have hope. And then lastly, on the tier list, McDonald's ice cream machine. My guy, when was the last time you've been to McDonald's, asked for the ice cream, and they said it wasn't broken? And not in a good way. Every time the ice cream machine is broken, I scream for ice cream. So the criteria for this tier list is simple, my friend. First is, how well do these strategies operate after the ban list? The ban list actually made some huge changes, and these potential decks are going to be affected by it, whether it's negatively or positive. The second thing that's going to impact these strategies on the tier list is the future support. Maybe there's some cards that are coming out very soon that can help the deck, or maybe there's some cards that you can use that players haven't been using previously to make the deck still as effective or even better in this format. And the third criteria we're going to use is its past format standing plus its current potential. My guy, some of these decks, holy, they still gonna clap you up. Kind of like when your ex texts your girlfriend and you figured out she still had pictures of him. Yeah, I ain't gonna cap, the pictures was me. I'm a dog like that. Let's go ahead and start off this tier list with Black Wings, my guy. Last format, I said that Black Wings weren't going to be really great because of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, as well as Droll and Lockbird. I still think that those cards are going to be played, just a little bit less, but there's still problems with Blackwing that need to be addressed. I think the big problem with Blackwings right now is that most combo decks need almost any combination of their cards, where Blackwings need specific cards to be able to pop up for their combo. On top of that, I expect cards like Cosmic Cyclone to be played a little bit more, making the deck a little bit more vulnerable. Also, my boy, the Rock is still cooking. It's a good card right now. You gotta watch out for that from time to time. Branded literally got 0 hits on the Forbidden list. For the people that are saying, Branded Explosion is good! Oh, rejoice! Give it puppet luck! Unfortunately for you guys, we got a DLC in the new Albion monster, which just so happens to be a secret rare, which can do the exact same thing.
The Give It Puppet Luck lives on memories.
I expect more people to play cards like Bestials and DD Crow to be able to counter this, and that's why I think Dark World is going to be in a tough spot. Not only will Droll and Ogre still be a little bit present, but now Bestials and DD Crow? Oh my God, guys, just give it up, Dark World boys. Well, at least in the Dark World, they got cookies, right? TJ said they had cookies. I hope they still have cookies. What I like the most about Dinos is that Ganglong is support for the strategy, allowing it to make more explosive boards. But you know, and I know, the same problems with Dinos still exist. Miscellaneousaurus is still at 1. What are we gonna do with 1 Miscellaneousaurus? The follow-up for this deck is like Ladies Without Ass. It ain't so I'm just gonna put it in experimental. I would also like to point out that Cypher and Gear Gamma Limited is a huge hit to Dinos. Imagine activating Misk with no monsters in the field and your opponent uses Ash Blossom. With only 1 Misk, that sucks. The deck gets so much stronger, but it doesn't fix the problem. But keep in mind, guys, experimental in no way means the deck is bad, just needs a little bit more at the drawing board to be stronger. I think Draco Slayer got a breath of life with the new Draco Face-Off card. Work with me, guys. It is a spell card that can special summon a Draco Slayer or Overlord monster to your side of the field to help you facilitate into Beyond the Pendulum faster. Also, your Draco Slayer normal monster in the Pendulum scales Yeah, that claps up Super Heavy Samurai. Hey, those pendulum scales negated. Wukashi got jubated, boys. It's the summertime, so City Boy players for Draco Slayers are up, my guys, and I think that this would be a solid budget Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I think that Chaos Dragons or Dragon Link, whatever you want to call it, is still a deck with mad potential upside. The reason why I say this is because the Bestial monsters could be extremely good in this format, and this is a strategy that can mainboard them as well as use Magnuma to search more things than just the Bestials. Also, this deck is extremely resilient to hand traps, and if Droll is being played just a little bit less, that's huge for the Dragon deck. Also, guys, remember, when in doubt, Chaos Angel it out. You're not losing. You're never losing. You would think that Drytron would get into experimental because of our last tier list, but the Forbidden list actually had a plus side for Drytron. I understand that more players will be playing DD Crows and Bestials, which would hurt Drytron, but this deck actually got more copies of Cypher and Gear Gamma. Herald of Orange Light is now the best hand trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Simply because it can negate and destroy the monster effect. And because Drytron plays so many fairy monsters, being able to add another copy of Herald of Orange Light is huge for the deck. I think that there's a lot of upside, especially when you start incorporating the new cards from the new set. Now it's crazy with Outledge because I flip-flop with this deck more than the haters flip-flop with considering if I'm a good player or not. I genuinely think Outledge is an experimental. One thing that I would say is cards like Evenly Matched will be a little bit more played because one of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to require you to play. One thing I do like about Daddy Dilf though is that you can play all of the floodgates that you want and summon this monster to your side of the field and control the game. It's just waiting on the right time of the format to be able to dominate. Speaking of Daddy Dilf, we might as well just get the whole family here. Exo Stepsisters is another strategy that I think is pretty dependent on the format. Right now, as the format is unfolding, I would say that it's 100% experimental. If the Bestials and DD Crow do become really powerful cards, well, Exo Sister can roll with that. But if the dryer just so happens to be at the pawn shop, then we're not doing too well. By the dryer, I mean if people start playing more Nibiru. You know what this deck does to Nibiru. It cries. Yo, that's the only rock hard thing it can't deal with. Fluenderies comes into this format as the first next best deck that we're going to talk about. Everything that we talked about with Fluenderies still stands. D-Shifter boys, really, really good. Time-tearing Morganite, extremely good. But more importantly, Harpy's Featherstorm never got hit by the list. One of the benefits about Fluenderies is that it's the only control stun deck that can deal with Evenly Matched by just summoning Mist Valley Apex Avian Forehead. It's already in the game. You can say that Birds of a Feather pretty much flock together. With Notoria Sacred Tree at 1, I find it really hard to think that Notoria is a very powerful Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Allow me to go ahead and get that out of the way and just say that it's pretty much McDonald's ice cream machine. Being able to discard Sacred Tree with your Hugin was like, oh my God, it was the best thing ever. And now that that no longer exists, it's no longer the best runic deck. What I think is the best runic deck, hands down, is Fur Hire. And it's not because I've seen Zootopia 4 times, but that bunny, holy yo. Donner Mama is literally, it must be your face because it ain't nothing else. Holy, but yo, that's a card. Konami, I thought this was a children's card game. The reason why I think Fur Hire is so good, it might be because I'm sniffing Master Duel Copium, but being able to draw multiple cards from your deck to your hand during your opponent's turn, being hand interruptions is extremely good. Raphael not only providing a negate, but being able to search any card is amazing. And this deck, I mean, it just has the sauce about it. Being able to play the sprite cards to get into your runic cards and to get into your Fur Hire cards, phenomenal. I genuinely have high hopes for Gold Pride Punk. Overall, I think that it could be the next Burning Abyss of Yu-Gi-Oh! A strategy that will continuously get support. Keep in mind, we're still owed at least one more wave, and is a strategy that will be good for quite some time. Gold Pride Punk already did decently well at YCS Philly, a tournament dominated by Cash Tira and Super Heavy Samurai, and now with those decks hit a little bit more, I think that this deck can take it to the next level. Hungry hamburger! Yeah, my guys, just stop. If you are trying to play a pure Nouvelle deck after extraneous testing, right here, my guy. But if you were playing maybe a Drytron version or maybe a Conco version, I think those two versions have a little bit more upside. Nouvelle is in a really weird spot because it does tribute your opponent's monsters, but there's better decks that tribute your opponent's monsters. Ironically, Kashtira does not change. It's still one of the best decks in the entire game. I think that the ban to Diablosis was very fair, but what players are really complaining about is the limitation of Arise Heart, which does nothing. My guy, Kashtira Theosis can recycle the Arise Heart in preparation preparations can summon it back. As long as you're not getting a Rise Heart banished face down, which Diablosis can't do anymore because it's banned, this is still one of the most powerful decks in the game. Also, one more thing I want you to keep in mind, those Cash Tira other monsters, they actually have great effects. One thing I will say though, Cash Tira players, is watch out for dinos. They still got True King Lethal Sack 'em. They might be the new Diablos. Labyrinth Mommy Milkers, step on me, mommy. This is one of the best decks in the game. Literally lost nothing, gained everything. We might just have to start mainboarding evenly matched again how powerful this deck is. My biggest gripe about Vanadium in the last tier list that we talked about is that other combo decks do it better. The good thing about Vanadium is that other combo decks no longer do it better. You could even make an argument that Vanadium may do it better than other combo decks because of the Visa launch, being able to almost summon a vicious Astrolaut out of anywhere. The graveyard? You're fusion summoning from the graveyard? I mean, it's kind of crazy, especially when it can destroy an opponent's monster and gain attack. This is one of the best combo decks in the game going forward. I've always said that Marine Test is ultra dependent on how powerful World Sea Dragon Zelantis is, and we put it low in the tier list because there were so many disruptions and negations. But now, since negations have softened a bit, I think that this is a deck that does have that potential upside. Zelantis is a nasty card, my brothers, and the fact that this deck had nothing hit, while Mathmech had a lot hit, sheesh, it's still the next best deck though. So we go from 10 Mathmech circulars through circular, small world, Signet, and all that other stuff to 7. Nothing has changed. Getting into your circular for the first turn is still ridiculously easy. My only concerns about Mathmech now is follow-up. Using circular to make that one card access code talker that can attack twice and is so strong is not as easy as anymore, but it's still a Cyber's deck. Just summon monsters forehead. Ninjas, my guys. Can we Shadow Clone Jutsu out of here or something? Like, this ain't working. As far as picking some of the best decks in the game, Ninjas just ain't it, my guy. That ice cream machine is way broken. Some of Plunder Patrol's biggest ops were Cash Tira Rice Heart and the Gimmick Puppet. Admittedly, the Gimmick Puppet is a little bit harder to summon. I think Plunder Patrol can actually come into the game, especially with negations being softened just a little bit. Those kaijus get more value. And you know what Plunder Patrol does with kaijus? So I talked to my buddy George, and he said Pirelli is not dead, which is good. I think Pirelli got hit the hardest with losing Delicious Memory. I think that the substitute for that is playing Foolish Burial Goods, which allows you to send Delicious Memory and using Pirelli to still combo off. I'm maybe in Copium, but there's still a potential upside for this deck. It's gonna be a lot harder to make Expertly Nor now that Delicious Memory is limited, but there are other aspects of this deck that can still be explored. Mainly, I'm saying that this deck is still an XC deck, and giving your opponent a Santa Claus to make a big Zeus is still a viable strategy. Keep in mind, it's still Zodiac Sky Striker. I believe. Rika, top 4 at Nationals, secured. Tribute your opponent's monsters, secured. Less monsters that you need to tribute, secured. This deck is astoundingly good, and with more ops out of its way, it's one of the next best decks in the game. Believe it. Now, me and the boys were arguing over Sky Striker for quite some time. There have been some going second Sky Striker builds that have been successful, and now when you combine that with another copy of Engage and another multi-roll, this deck could be even better. I'm gonna say it has a huge potential upside. The problem with Sky Striker is that it is a 3.5-year-old strategy. 4.5 years. It's an old strategy. My guy, the only hope for you guys is hope that Sky Striker Ace Ray aged out by now, but you know that's not how it works. Technically, she's 19, but you're still weird for having it in the first place. Some of the biggest things that help Sky Striker, in my opinion, will be Triple Tactics Thrust. I gotta do it. That technically gives you 6 copies of Sky Striker Engage, but that might not be in a lot of players' budgets. But to be fair, the only way to play Sky Striker was with ulti Sky Striker cards anyway, so if you're broke, just say that. I'm just playing brokies. You can play Sky Striker. I'm a brokey now too. I gotta buy grown man stuff. Sprite 100% one of the next best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Losing Sprite Starter is a joke. The best version of Sprite still, in my opinion, is not Sprite Runic, it's Sprite Melfi. That is a ridiculously powerful deck. Super heavy samurais, big chunky boys. Losing super heavy samurai Scareclaw may have been huge to some players, but in all honesty, this is still one of the best decks in the game. My guy Squiddy made a video and he showed me that the deck's still 1 card combos. It's still 1 card combos. I'll be sure to link Squiddy's video down below in the comment section, but also make sure to get a man's a sub and let him know the Don sent you. But even with the 1 card combos, I think that there's a nice balance. The 2 card combos for these particular decks are a little more resilient than the 1 card combo for this deck. And Super Heavy Samurais, they still 2 card combo. I got 2 cards, 1 for disruption and 1 for combo. I got 2 cards because my turns take extra longo. I got 2 cards with no more side frame gamma. With no more side frame gamma. Hey, I mean, at least these combo decks can play Spell and Traps. Sword Soul, big boys. You already know where I'm putting Sword Soul. If I am being so honest with you guys, I'm gonna put it... In all honesty, guys, I think Sword Soul has a huge upside, probably one of the best upside decks in this entire tier list. The reason why is because a comparable Sword Soul player can take this deck really, really far as long as you avoid the pitfalls. My guy, Konami has been playing us Sword Soul players. They've been giving us powerful cards, but not better cards.
Konami, can I have something out the Biru? Konami, can I have better follow-up?
No, you get Danglong and Ringworm Dragon. Lose harder.
I think the power of Sword Soul is going to be dependent on how much Nibiru is in the format. If there's a ton, well, I mean, that sucks. If there's not a lot, then yo, we in there. Very, very hot take, guys. I think that Ringworm completely sucks inside of this deck. You wouldn't believe it, but Tier Limit is actually a lot stronger. Keep in mind, the ops did go away. Arise Hearts are limited. I would say that this deck auto loses to Bystials, which may be coming back into the format, but if Bystials aren't prevalent, holy, hey, yo, wait, time out. There are actually some really good Tier Limit decks. It's just, I don't think players will play Tier Limit because they played the living daylights out of Tier Limit. Then Master Duel has Tier Limit, and that makes tiers. I would say that Trap Tricks is inexperimental, but I will leave a caveat here. It heavily depends on how powerful evenly matched is and how powerful negations are. If negations are at an all-time high, Trap Tricks going second is a done. But if negations can be played through with cards like Nibiru and evenly, Trap Tricks has, it's experimental. It could be real good. And lastly, my guys, the Vanquished Souls. In no way Konami makes a Forbidden list where Vanquished Souls can't be one of the next best decks. I think that they set this deck up for stupid success. And it's not because this deck is necessarily really good. It's that they made everything else worse. And then Vanquished Soul has a pretty decent matchup against some of the top decks now. And that's all that I have for today's tier list, big dog. If you think that there's a strategy that I missed, let me know down below in the comment section. But also, if a strategy is a little bit too high or too low, let me know as well. Of course, I hope you're having an amazing day. But until then, just check out these other videos so I can catch you on the next one.